Today will be a part two of me discussing the president's crime takedown. I will be giving you a total of arrests and guns seized and what has happened in the last few days, but really in the last few weeks because I ain't been here. Now, today we will tackle talking about the homeless tent city vibe that was going down in several areas of DC. People not going to like me talking about that either, but I digress. DC is very divided, and this is not even a part of the disclaimer, unfortunately. DC is very divided, and I think that people get it confused when you talk about serious things. They think that you're an activist. Octavia is not an activist. I'm pro do the right thing, and if you can't do the right thing, do something that makes sense to you or the universe or whatever and the fuck. Now, in my last video, I spoke slightly on the executive order. I will go into more detail when it comes to that executive order, but there was some advice up in there that nobody really listened to. Some people were surprised at my overview and my outlook on what the president has done thus far. I mean, I'm not confused. Because I talked to my peoples about this. And, my people said, well, I can see why people are confused based on what you talk about. And I took that into consideration because I do speak on street legends, and some of what I say, people would think that I'm glorifying the times. When, if you actually listen to anything that I'm saying, I am not glorifying the times. In my last video, I spoke on a few things. It was kind of short, and this one will be a little bit longer. With me announcing in my video before talking about the crime takedown, me announcing that I'm without lights, talking about something in the city. This city is so spiteful that somebody actually was like, shouldn't you be worried about getting the bill down? That's happening. That's happening. And I wasn't even surprised that somebody would be nasty like that when I'm actually trying to give a lot of these YNs, and as a matter of fact, they're not even young. I'm trying to give these black men that should be working jobs, that should be off the streets and not loitering, some type of advice so that they can avoid the tension. There are certain ways to avoid the police tension. If you are dropping your kids off at school and picking your kids up, and that's a normal thing for you, well, don't you think that would be a easier life than to be posted on the block or at an apartment complex that is owned by the city? See, when you make sense in DC, people hate that. And that's why I know I'm outgrowing this city. I am 90% done. Unfortunately, I feel like I haven't even made a stamp on this city as I wanted to. But if it's going to continue being ignorant like this, I truly don't have to talk about nothing DC related and just let the whole shit go up in flames. If that's the case, I have always been an outsider, but I realized that it's far more than my appearance. It's far more than any persona that I can uphold. It's far more than my personality. It's what I say. Like when I was younger, it was full on, either it's because you dark skinned, because you don't have the new Jordans, because of this. But now it's because of my mindset. And because I have some sense and I am wanting better for my people, born and raised in Washington, D.C., I think that a lot of people are spoiled to not having the police presence. And now that they have upped it, everybody is feeling some sort of way. What I can say is, I know how to adapt. And if I want that for you, that means that I want the best for you. With this executive order, and things are being signed every day. With this executive order, if you at least don't know what it says and what it pertains, and this is far deeper than Jim Crow. And you ain't even got to be fully woke to understand that. And what? Back in the days when Jim Crow was in effect, motherfuckers stayed out the way and they still had jobs to work, a family to feed. This is far deeper than that. And people are like, no, let's rise up against it. What are you going to do other than get into federal custody? That's not going to be me. Because if they could have kept Martin Luther King every time that he got arrested, they would have. Now they can. That's not me. For the sake of seeing my child grow, I'm not going to be standing on no blocks. Never have. But I'm not going to be standing out in front of no apartment complexes and people don't know. They don't understand that all of that is owned by the government. That's why it is legal for the undercovers to pop up, the jump outs to pop up, and start identifying folks. Do they do that with somebody that's on a porch? No. It's a certain way to move. Now, with this one, people not going to like what I say. And I'm going to check the mic real quick just to make sure I'm clear. Okay, we good. Now, people not going to like when I talk about the homelessness, but for me, I think it was maybe last year. Last year was my first time being down by the White House, and it's like this tunnel. I gotta really, I hope I can find a clip of that because it was my first time seeing a whole rock of tents in one spot by the White House, very, very close to the White House. And me as a person, because now I can't even say, born and raised in DC because everybody else got a different type of mindset. I'm on some other shit. Been on some other shit. But this is not LA. In LA, they got the Skid Row and the tent city vibe and all that shit. And it's not a vibe. I'm not saying it like that. But they done learned that shit from LA and brought it here. And I was disgusted. Ain't no way that rent is this high and y'all just think that y'all can just set up shop. Some of them using electricity from this and that. It's a fucking mile of extension cords and no. Ain't no mother way rent this high. And the reality of it is, I'm not even fully blaming no homeless people. They ain't even got part of the blame. It is the city not having enough programs for them, But at the same time, when I really thought about it, it's like in DC for the last, I want to say, 5 to 7 years, you would have to be hard on drugs or prove that you are homeless to get a place or that you're mentally insane. That is the only way that people have been getting housed. And still, they are building more shelters and things where people can stay for 90 days, get themselves together, and hopefully be back on their feet or get their stay refreshed or however that goes. But my thing is, every program is targeted towards the homeless, the mentally insane, victims of this and that. And they're making more, which is great. How can I put this? There was talks of these homeless encampments being tore down for months. They didn't do it. They did certain ones like late last year, early this year. It was coming because that's too much. In the nation's capital, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I am not against the homeless, but in me going to homeless shelters, in me having to be in certain programs to feed the homeless, one thing I can say is over the years that there has been a upflux on entitlement with homeless people. They be out there for a certain amount of time, and since they get handed things, they feel like that's always going to happen. These homeless people today, and I cannot say that it's 100%, I can't even say it's 80%. Some people really are gracious, but there are those ones that you got to give them $1,000, a filet mignon, a baked potato with the works on it, a hot dog with the works on it. You gotta give them all this shit, promises of a place from out your pocket for them to be grateful for something. Now, this might only be where I am. I haven't traveled far, but what I can say is shit went from people shaking a cup with coins in it, and when you put coins in it, they accept those coins. It went from accepting the coins, shaking the cup with the coins in it, to folks asking you for dollars, $5, $7, $10. No, no, because it's hard out here for everybody, and I don't know everybody's story. I'm not going to say every homeless person didn't abandon their kids and, you know, they hard on drugs. Some of them are not. I'm not even judgmental like that, but I'm not going to stick around to try to figure out what your story is. I'm not. You could be a damn murderer from 1987. I wouldn't know. I never liked the tents. And there was a lot of warnings of the tents being taken down. Now, it did make me feel some type of way to see how they were tearing them down and see people's, paperwork and information just fly all over the place. That didn't make me feel good. One thing that I caught was that a lot of people was trying to talk. Like they was trying to talk to the police and make them consider something else when they have a order. They have a job to do. That's all they're there to do. And I don't know where life will take me. I would hope if one day I choose to be a police officer that the entire black community, or at least in DC, would not hate me for it. But y'all forget that these people that have a badge and have a vest go home to their families just like we should, and they have a job to do just like we should too. All this standing around in the streets, the only time people care about it is if a drive-by shooting happened. 5 people get killed, even if it's 2 or 1. That's the only time somebody cares. If the homicide rate is going down, isn't that good? If they're making more institutions and facilities for homeless people to get off the streets, isn't that good? And they're rapidly making those. I'm seeing the good, and what the bad is to me is our reaction as DC residents. What the fuck is it gonna do for you to be out on the sidewalk seeing police handle business, whatever the fuck they doing? I'm going home. I don't know how many ways and how many languages I can tell people to just mind their fucking business. And if you are a law abiding citizen, go the fuck on. What is it gonna do for you to be yelling at the police? Get off our streets. Go home. Feed your dogs. What is it gonna do? I really don't feel like it's any point to do that. I really don't. Now, there are law abiding citizens that are getting harassed by police. And that's not right. But I think that everybody is looking at every situation as if the police is unjust. If you don't know the whole situation, like in totality of what you're saying, you need to just go home. You are going to try to get yourself into a situation, hopefully not get maced, but probably. All because you're asking questions about a situation that has nothing to do with you. Now, the only time that black people want to get involved with black people business is if a motherfucker getting arrested or a motherfucker is laying there half dead. What about if we get involved in de-escalating a situation, as far as telling these young men, hey, all of us had the opportunity, the unfortunate opportunity of getting walked up on and having to be identified. If we really got pissed off and really got so fucking offended, we probably get arrested and never see the light of day again. They'd kill our ass in there. All because we are confused and we need understanding. We won't get that. I listen. If we saying that the police is a gang, and that's how we feel, let's play it like they the cartel. Stay out of their way. It's ways to do that, is it not? I would hate to feel like most of us went through school and we not really having no sense. What about what I said was wrong? Because I'm really confused. What about what I said about crime being down was wrong? Now, there have been a homicide or 2, a shooting or 3, a robbery or 4. Now, I hate to feel like my city is so much like so numb to the point where if something hasn't happened in their family, if somebody hasn't died recently of gun violence, that they don't feel it. They don't feel like that part affects them, that part of crime affects them. If they didn't get their car stolen by one of these YNs, or they didn't get ripped out of their fucking vehicle by one of these YNs, or three of these YNs, or five of these, or tased by one of these, or killed for any of their valuables, any of their loved ones, they don't feel it. But what happens when it's people that feel so passionately hateful towards police, but when they partners is slain and there's nothing that they can do, who are they going to call? You're not going to call Ghostbusters. How much do you hate them? That's the only thing that I got to say. How much do you hate them? Because it truly and honestly, it cannot be that much. You will always have to call somebody else for assistance. You can try to get your partner to the hospital, but moving them all around like that in that state, it probably won't be good. I don't know what the hope is for DC if people don't understand what they have to do. You have to adapt. I'm getting word that this is not just going to be a 30-day thing. I think, as well as Army officials believe, that this is going to be an ongoing task for all agencies, all policing agencies. If every year we have a total of 200 homicides, 300 homicides, and it hasn't slowed down over the years, what is supposed to happen? Literally. Police in DC and in the DMV have not had this much help in decades. What the is everybody mad about? Other than the traffic that is causing because of checkpoints, other than if you owe tickets and they possibly can confiscate your vehicle if it's over $2,000. What is everybody upset about?